Coming to you from a portable microphone, this is Don't Get Me Started. This is a conversation about advertising. And here is your host, freelance creative director and creative circus department head, Dan Balser.
Yes, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. This is a special episode, so titled because it's coming out like a week early. Not that you would have noticed that, but this is the Creative Circus Back to School Graduation Special. That's one of the reasons I'm calling it a special. It's also special because as I edit these things, I've come to realize that sometimes I have a tendency to interrupt my guests. I'm sorry about that very much to the guests and the listeners, but I managed to figure out a special format on which it's impossible for me to interrupt. Erin Miller, whom you'll hear in a bit, once said, "Dan, you're the most self-conscious narcissist I've ever known." So this is a special episode because it contains the voices of 19 summer 2017 grads and almost none of mine. And this is the time at the Creative Circus when it's back to school season and our biggest graduation at the same time. So I figured, let's talk to the students as they're leaving. I want them to talk to the students who are streaming into school. I want them to share their wisdom with all of us who are pulling on sweaters for the first time in a long time while starting projects for ourselves and our clients. I asked the art directors and copywriters to answer one or both of these two questions. First, what do you wish you had done or done more in your 2 years at school? And second, what's the best thing that you did in your 2 years at school? Not what's the best thing you made, although I did get that answer once. What's the best thing that you did? Some replies are short, some ramble. Believe me, the long ones were way longer before I cut them down. I get it. I ramble. If you're curious to see the work behind the voices, links to every one of the guests on this podcast can be found on the homepage, balserville.com. I will also post links on the Facebook page, facebook.com/DGMS podcast. Congratulations to the Creative Circus's Summer 2017 graduates, and thank you for offering your wisdom and voices.
Hey Dan, it's Emily Aberg in beautiful Dallas, Texas, and I think I'm just gonna go from the gut and say if there was one thing I wish I had done differently in these last 2 years, I think I would have just tried to talk to more people in general. There's a lot you can do as a student in terms of research a group of folks from behind a computer screen. And it feels like because you're so pressed for time that that's the best way to do it. But one way to lighten up and not take yourself so seriously and also to get some really good insight on your project and on your target that you're working on is just to fucking talk to people. And I wish I had done that a little bit more. I wish I had talked to more professors. I wish I had talked to more kids outside my quarter. I wish I had talked to more people in the city of Atlanta. And the second one, what is the best thing I did in school? I think was to fucking decide to go and then finish. And I don't mean that to be a cop-out, but like after having had so many false starts during my 20s, like, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try this, I'll try that. I think the best thing I did was decide, like, over the course of 3 years, decide to go to the circus, and then not once in those 2 years that I was there, think about quitting. I felt really shitty sometimes. I felt like I'm the worst person in the room, but I also never felt like quitting. And that's a pretty good sign for me because I really love to quit things that are hard. And the fact that this whole industry is as hard as it is and that I don't yet feel like quitting is something that I don't take for granted.
This is Shevek. I kind of wish I'd explored Atlanta more. I didn't really get to see a ton of it or go to as many festivals as I wanted to. You know, you sign up for things on Facebook, but this school is crazy, man. Like, time flies by so fast. I can't even believe that I'm graduating. If there was another thing, I wish I'd focused on some of the hobbies that I love that I've kind of just let go to the side, like music. It's hard for me to be creative at school and then, you know, working on school things and then come home and want to pick up a guitar, record music. And I think I just kind of put all the creative energy that I had into school. What's the best thing I did in my 2 years of school? Going to a concert alone was really cool. I don't think I'd ever done that in a long time. I love throwing parties, and back in the earlier quarters, the best thing was definitely to just be able to get like everyone together in my shitty little apartment that I shared with Chi-Young and Darnell. We were just all so positive and happy. It was awesome, and there wasn't really any weird social shit going on. It was just everyone was together, and we were in this crazy place with all these people who we all know were fucking weird, and we're finally in a place where we can be weird, and in the end we're gonna make a career out of that. And just those first few quarters before we really, I think it's just part of, like, it's not a bad thing, it's just part of life at the circuses. You start out like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then quarter 4 comes around and you realize this shit's real and you haven't made anything you love yet. I think the point I'm trying to make is coming to a place where you're surrounded by people who are all focused on being creative and doing this thing, this weird thing that we've all wanted to do but never knew how until we got here together. That is amazing.
This is Savannah Bradford. I'm an art director, and the thing that I wish I would have done more is to think less and basically make more. You spend a lot of time getting lost in the idea phase of your projects, and I think that you could benefit by just cranking it out once you have a good idea and getting to pick from a bunch of stuff rather than just being super, super nitpicky about the idea. So go ahead and just start making it. Makes it easier. The best thing that I did was throw myself 100% into this program, and I think that you benefit so much by really, really committing. You're going to meet some super great people and make some of the best friends of your life, and just make sure to go to Johnny's after class and go to all the parties and stay late, super late at night at school and be with everybody and try super hard, and you'll end up with some of the best friends you've ever made, and your work will end up better in the end too, because it's awesome.
So my name is Kyle Andrew Chin from KyleAndrewChin.com, and I'm an art director. And one thing I recently found out about myself is that I'm somewhat of a perfectionist, and that doesn't really help in this industry. I realize I wish I actually just did more and just thought less about things, because just the more you produce your ideas out and throw it out there, the quicker you'll get like feedback, and you just keep creating and don't overthink things. What is the best thing you did in your 2 years at school? Okay, so I think a lot of people stress out about school and they get overwhelmed, but I just try to stay positive, and I think that's one thing that helps. Just try to have fun with things. Like I might even put my voice in auto-tune right now. Don't take things too seriously, and things will work out. And don't stress out.
Hey, this is Lauren, and the best thing that I did during school was appear on Judge Judy. A fellow copywriter and I made up this ridiculous story, and we fake sued each other. And we weren't even actually planning on putting it into our books, but I'm really glad that we did because it's what most agencies that I talk to ask me about. So don't be afraid to take risks, get weird, and besmirch your good name on national TV.
You got a real type of thing going down, getting down. There's a whole lot of rhythm going round. Oh, we want the rock. Give up the rock. Oh, we need the rock. We gotta have that rock.
Well, hello there, podcast listeners. Alissa Funk here, and of course, with a name like Funk, I had to give myself the most cliche walk-on song. So, sorry, Doreen, if you're listening to this. I went super cliche, but I had to do it. I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Dan Balzer and thank him for compiling this special podcast for his Don't Get Me Started. I think it's a huge deal. As a listener and a student of his, we always dream of the day that we'll get the chance to record a full session with you, and I still look forward to that. But I think that it's something you earn by working hard out in the real world, and to get a little taste of that right now, huge deal. So thank you, sir. Let's get started. So what is the best thing I did in my 2 years at school? I am somebody that loves to make relationships and make friendships and talk to people, and just I'm a people person. So I think the best thing I did was getting to know the people that I did, leaving with a great group of friends because we believe in each other and they inspire me, and they're people that I can't wait to see what they do because it'll make me a better creative and hopefully get the chance to work with them one day and be proud of the work that they do and say, I know them, they're my friend. So I think with that is, I did my very best to stay out of drama and stay focused because I was there on a mission, and I think I was successful in that. I just didn't want to be a part of any drama, which always follows in schools, and especially with girls. So I'm very proud of that. And then I wanted to be somebody that people wanted to work with, and that was because of I don't give up easily. I work hard, and my work ethic is something I'm very proud of. And I think that showed and will continue to show because that is super important to me. So thank you, Dan Balzer, and thank you, Creative Circus.
Tim Smith, copywriter, Fall 17 graduate. What was the best thing I did in 2 years? I would say I went to class every day, which made everything easier for me because I felt like I was working hard and I got a lot out of it. And in turn, I think it gave me a better portfolio. I mean, why would it not? I don't know a single person that missed a bunch of class and had an awesome book. Maybe somebody before me did. I don't know. What do I know? And then what I wish I would have done more of in my 2 years at the circus, I think would be just have more fun, maybe play a little looser. I think it's very easy to take this very serious, and you're just not going to get good work when you're hard on yourself. And, just try and have fun with it. You'll do much better. And those two pieces of advice should get you through. I mean, that's 24 months worth of advice. So good luck with it. Have fun. Go to class.
Hey there, podcast listeners. This is Mai Campbell, 8th quarter art director. And the thing that I wish I did more of, or less of, actually, is to not stress as much. Being here for 2 years, you have to get a lot done within those 2 years. But in each and every time that I was doing my work or being in a meeting or being in class, I would tend to get a little stressed out. And at the end of the day, you have to look back, or at least I'm looking back on my experience and realizing that those times that I was stressed out, I really should be so grateful and so honored to be doing something that I actually have a lot of fun doing. You don't really get to hear that many people, at least kids my age, that are having jobs that they truly enjoy. And to have projects to work on that are just as simple as like making a really fun banner ad or some social thing or just creating a new idea. It might be stressful in the process of making it, but when you're actually making something that's going to be really cool down the road, you might as well have fun making it. This might be the most confusing line of word or things of words and sentences I've ever said, but moral of the story of my 2 years at the circus is just have fun. As easy as that sounds, you will have a lot of stressful moments. I've had a lot of tears shed at the circus over stuff that I should have been really proud about at the end of the day, but you can always find a little bit of sunshine on a rainy day. To the listeners out there, I hope you see me down the road making a pretty cool ad somewhere at some place, and had a great time meeting Dan and Jen and everyone else at the circus. So just stay cool, everyone. Stay stress-free.
Hey guys, my name is Sarah. I'm an 8th quarter copywriter, and my advice is for my fellow wallflowers out there. Make it your priority to party more, if at all possible. All the partnerships are formed at a party and not in the classroom. Even if you know that you're probably going to plop on the first couch that you see at a party, go. I cannot stress it enough, just go. This is how I made friends with my friend Payal, who's an art director and a fellow wallflower.
Hi, I'm Payal, and in my 2 years of school, I wish I had taken out more time to get away and take a break from all the work, instead of worrying about it so much. At the end of the day, everything's going to get done, and the work will be better if you're not completely exhausted.
My name is Brittany Kittredge. I am a copywriter. The first question, I guess in the last 2 years, I wish I did more side projects and made more things while I was at school just for fun. I did a few side projects which are in my book, ended up being in my book, and basically ended up being the things that I liked the best, more than things that I did for any classes that I was in. The best thing I did in the last 2 years, I think just learning to trust my gut more, which I didn't at the beginning of this process. And since the industry is so subjective, I think it's important to have a strong sense of self and what you like, because you may get opposite feedback from different people, and if you don't know exactly what you like, then your head's going to explode and your project's going to turn into something that you don't even recognize.
My name is Jacob Scott. I am a copywriter, and if I could go back and do the circus all over again, I would make more things full stop. Just whatever came to mind, all the stupid ideas I had with partners, commercials, random ad executions, I would have just made them. And I would have just mocked them up. I would have actually made them, even if it's shooting a commercial on a phone. I realize now that you can't really know something is going to be good until you at least kind of attempt it. So I would have just made a bunch of stuff and saw what sticks. And I think the best thing I did in school was learn to be more than just a copywriter. Take Photoshop classes, take motion graphics, just learn to be more than what you are, because I guess when it comes down to it, being a copywriter is kind of being bare minimum for being a copywriter. So even if it's completely unrelated to school, I think being more than just a writer is the best thing I've got going for me.
Hi everyone, I'm Carey McKay, and I'm an art director, and speaking from personal experience, which I guess is the whole point of this. I wish I had known how emotional/sensitive little/no sleep makes you. Yes, these nights are pretty much an unavoidable part of school, but now you've been warned. Other than that, don't take yourself too seriously, welcome criticism, allow yourself a night off, and adopt a pet.
I'm Dan Azneer. I'm a copywriter. I think one of the best things I did while I was at school was making things, and that's kind of the whole point of the Creative Circus. But you just got to do it. It was a lesson I learned when I was taking Strategy 2. A partner and I couldn't really nail down an idea, so we just kind of kept skirting around it, not making things, trying to make the idea perfect, and all of a sudden it was the end of the quarter and we hadn't made anything. So we just did it, and it ended up turning out really great. We ended up winning a silver Addy at the Atlanta Addies with it. So the lesson I took from that was you just got to make the thing. You don't know how it's going to turn out until you complete everything and start hashing it out, and just do the stuff, do the work, and it's going to turn out great.
Hi, it's Erin Miller. I am a copywriter. I maybe could have inserted that a little more gracefully, but there it is. So what do I wish I had done more of in my 2 years at school? I think some advice that I would give people now, knowing what I know now, is I would get an internship. I think at Circus they prepares you enough just going to school, but I do think that many times in interviews people say, do you have an internship or have you had one? And it sucks to say no. You don't want to have something against you right off the bat. So I don't think it's necessary. I didn't get one until a week ago, so I'm not the most reliable source, but that's what I would say. And then the best thing I did at my 2 years at school, hands down by far, was make a group of friends really early on. And the way that I did that was I started working with people. We would all stay at school until 11, closing time, and then go to someone's house and work from there. And it was just the best bonding experience, the best way to get to know these people that you're gonna really are gonna become your friends, your best friends for the next 2 years and probably forever, which sounds so dumb, but we're getting close to graduation and I'm sentimental now. But yeah, the best people, and you do the best work when you're surrounded by people that also want to get better and do better work, and it's made me a much better writer to be surrounded by people who are like-minded in their work ethic.
Hey Dan, it's Cam. I will answer the question, what is the best thing I did in my 2 years at the circus? And I was thinking about this today, and I kind of came up with my answer today, or realized my answer today, after moving to a new place super quickly and having to pack up all my things in 3 days, which was terrifying and scary, and I was freaking out. So I guess my first bit of advice is to anybody listening in any situation, just calm down. It's going to be fine. Just keep your head down, as Kristen Martin would say. So that's the first part. Second part is the most important thing I did, which goes hand in hand with working hard, is realizing how I kind of function as a human, which is kind of a crazy thought to think about. I learned what steps I needed to take to make the best work that I could, and to be the most productive and be the best partner that I could. That came from obviously working hard and trial and error. And in the beginning, it's kind of a crazy thought because you think that you need to hole yourself up in one of the rooms at the circus, or sit at your desk in your apartment and just write and stay up all night, which is not the thing to do. I think it's super important to realize which environments you thrive in, what people you work well with, and that only comes from trial and error, going to work at a coffee shop, going to work at a bar, working at school, working around friends so you can kind of bounce ideas off of them, and knowing at what stage in your project which circumstance is best for you. So that's one of the things that I learned. So yeah, that's been super important, because going to a new place with new people in a new city and having it all happen so fast is really scary. But as long as you kind of figure out your own little device and your process, it becomes a little less scary, because even though you're surrounded by all this newness and it's really intimidating and it's your first real job, you know you'll be able to do the work you came here to do because you understand how you work and what you need to do to make that work great.
My name is Ilana Marshall, and I'm a graduating art director at the Creative Circus. Looking back at my 2 years at the circus, I could say that I wish I was more confident and outspoken, but I don't feel like I actually regret those things. I feel like everyone's personality and personal progress is different. I've come to accept that I'll never be the loudest person in the room, but I can happily say that I'm more confident than I was 2 years ago, and that's all that really matters to me. So no regrets, because in the end, the circus is only a portion of my journey.
This is Katherine Stewart. I'm answering the 2 questions. So for the first question of what I wish I had done more of in my 2 years at the Creative Circus, I'd have to say that whenever an assignment came to me, I wish I had looked at the rules and the specifications that the teacher had written out of what to follow, and I wish I had taken those as simple guidelines instead of as rules. I wish I had pushed myself a little bit further to think more outside the box, because I think that when you start to think of something original, even if it doesn't fit into what the teacher requested that you do, still run it by the teacher, still run it by the class, because those are the ideas that are going to be the most original, and that's what's going to stick with the recruiter and the creative director more down the line. They're going to go, wow, that's something I've never thought of, like that, client would never have done this. This is the only time in your career, I feel like, that you can really just do what you want. So if you come up with something wild and crazy that wasn't part of the assignment, like, run with it. And then I think for the second thing, what's the best thing I did in my 2 years at the circus? I think it would be working with the people that you're in school with. The first couple of quarters, I highly recommend working at school. You're going to be so much better if you're collaborating, if you're working next to friends and partners, and if you're just really constantly asking people for feedback. So I think when you're at school, and there was so many times that I was stuck on a layout or frustrated with an idea, and I'd just run into a classroom, talk to the person next to me, and I'd be like, can I run this by you? And vice versa. If you really isolate yourself at this school, it's just not going to be helpful for anybody involved. Because when you're working around people, there's a certain, edge of competitiveness and competition that comes into it, and that really helps you to push yourself further. And honestly, collaboration is what this is all about. So if you avoid that, you're really kind of harming yourself. So I suggest working with everyone, and definitely the first 3 quarters, do work at school.
One of the best things I did during my 2 years at the Creative Circus was get outside of myself, outside of what I know, outside of my comfort zone, outside of my personal background and my own little box. It's a little different from college. College, you're kind of, niche with your majors. People are around basically your same age. And it's a little different than the Creative Circus, where people have all different kind of backgrounds, all different age groups, married, divorced, kids, young, never been to college, have master's degrees, lawyers. And it's very interesting to be forced into such a small area with those people. They push you outside of your creative thinking. They push you outside of your own personal thinking. And I believe that it's one of the best things that I've ever experienced, way more than my college experience. I also believe that it forces you to look at the world in a different aspect, because you're putting these things eventually out into the world. You're putting your creative self out in the world, and you want to be able to have a 360 view of everything and not continue to put out what advertising has put out wrong. For example, Pepsi. So I just believe that it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made. By the way, it's Britt King.
So there they are. Some heartfelt stuff for sure. For links, head on over to balsterville.com or DGMS Podcast on Facebook. You just heard from, in order, Emily Aberg, Shevek Anandan, Savannah Bradford, Kyle Chin, Lauren Glynn, Alissa Funk, Tim Smith, Maya Campbell, Sarah Gradeless, Payal Patel, Brittany Kittredge, Jacob Scott, Carey McKay, Dan Azneer, Erin Miller, Kamey Murphy, Ilana Marshall, Katherine Stewart, and Britt King. Listeners, send me an email to let me know what you think. Grads, congratulations. Listeners, we'll see you again in a week. See ya. Bye.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Cool, dude. Thanks again for everything. Thanks for making this podcast. Thanks for making it awesome. Thanks for staying awesome. Yeah. I don't want to stop recording this because I feel like I'm in your office again talking. I'm like, oh, I'm back at school. This is so fun. I miss Dan. Yeah. Okay. Hope to see you in Portland one day if I'm still here. Okay, bye. Tell Grandma I said hi. And Grandpa.